Do not be selfish. You've probably heard these words 1,000 times throughout your life. We live in a society where it is constantly trying to push towards this narrative that selfishness is a bad thing. And while yes, I agree that selfishness can be a bad thing, especially if you are too selfish, sometimes sharing and caring is the way to go. And we all hate that guy that is too selfish all of the time. I actually think that there is another side to the story as well. I think that a lot of people make the mistake of often not being selfish enough. I see so many people who constantly sacrifice themselves. They sacrifice their time, they sacrifice their values in the pursuit of trying to please other people, or they are trying to fit in with the crowd. Now what this does, why this is so bad, first of all, is you're sacrificing your own time and values, which is not a good thing at all. But here's the big irony. You see, people think they're doing this to please other people, but the reality is that you are not really even pleasing other people that much. Because there is not much to please, there is not much pleasing to do if you essentially are this loser that's just too afraid to say no. If you're just doing things, if you're just there for other people because you're too afraid to say no and you're not actually there with integrity, you don't have that much to offer to other people. You can offer them so much more value if you take care of yourself first. Because if you take care of yourself first, then you probably actually are like a somewhat happier, more successful version of yourself. You can present yourself with integrity. Maybe you can even inspire other people. And so you can offer people so much more value like that than when you're just that guy that is just there as a loser because he's too afraid to say no. And so in this video, I'm going to go over 3 examples of situations where a lot of people make the mistake of not taking care of themselves first. Situations where you need to learn to be more selfish. Number 1, a friend asks you to hang out and you don't feel like it. For whatever reason it might be. Maybe you want to spend some time working on your business. Maybe you need to study for an important test. Maybe you just want to spend some time alone. You just need some me time. Whatever it is, you don't feel like it, but you're too afraid to say no, and so you end up hanging out with that friend or your friends anyway. Now what this does, first of all, you are sacrificing your own time and energy, which is preventing you from working towards your goals. Maybe you had that important test you needed to study for. Maybe you wanted to spend some more time on your business. You can't do any of that because now you're hanging out with your friends against your will. And so you are essentially sacrificing your own future in the sake of trying to please other people. But here's the thing. You see, this is the big irony. You think you are pleasing other people. You know, you can't say no because you want to please your friends. But really, there is not much pleasing to do if you're that just guy that's just there because you were too afraid to say no. The guy that doesn't even really want to be there. Your friends wanted you to be there as a friend. They wanted a friend that actually likes to spend time with them. They never wanted a loser that was just like submissive to them and never said no. That's not what most friends want out of you. It is actually better to see your friends like once a month and you actually want to see them. So you actually are a somewhat happier, more successful version of yourself. You are there with integrity. You are there present in the moment. You can actually spend some time and attention on your friends because you want to be there. Maybe you can even inspire your friends because of the person you are. It is so much better to see your friends once a month like that than to see your friends several times a week when you don't really feel like it. Because again, you don't have that much to offer to your friends if you do not take care of yourself first. If you really want to please other people, then you are going to have to please yourself first. Because if you do not take care of yourself, there is not much pleasing to do towards other people. People don't need a loser in their life. Number 2. Now this one is if you have a relationship. So you have a girlfriend or a wife and she wants to watch a movie with you. Now, this is not any type of movie, but this is the type of movie she likes. So this is the romantic chick flick movie. Now you, as a guy, you do not really like this type of movie, but you think, oh well, that's what guys do, right? It's part of having a relationship. If you want to be a good guy, you need to sacrifice your interests sometimes, and you need to watch that movie against your will, because that's important. You need to please the missus. You need to spend some time with her watching romantic movies. But when you do so, you're doing it against your will. She can feel that, because girls have like a radar for that kind of stuff. She can feel that you're there against your will. You start to show maybe some passive-aggressive body language or an attitude towards her, so she starts to get a little bit passive-aggressive, and all around there's not a very positive mood, and in some cases this actually grows out to like a full-blown fight. But even if it doesn't get to a full-blown fight, it really just sets a negative tone. And it wasn't a very successful evening. And you're wondering, why the hell was this? I was trying so hard to please her by watching this movie against my will, and she still didn't appreciate it. Well, guys, here is why. She never wanted you to be there against your will. What she wanted is a guy, a man, that made the choice to be there with his girl. A man that made the conscious choice to watch a romantic movie with his girl. That's all she wanted. But instead of acting like that man, you started to act like a pussy-whipped loser that was there against his will, because he thought that this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sacrifice yourself. And the thing is, girls think that a guy that does things against his will, a guy that acts like a pushover, is insanely unattractive. And so by actually trying to please your woman like that, she actually loses respect for you. She actually loses attraction for you over time, and things just get worse. And so this is so important. You need to realize that you should not do these things against your will. Now, this doesn't mean, I'm not trying to say that you can never watch a romantic movie with your lady, but I'm saying it should not be against your will. So you can convince yourself that you want to do it. For example, if you tell yourself, well, you know, I don't really like this category of movie that much, but I really like to spend a romantic evening with my lady, and I think it's gonna be fine, the movie's not that bad, then it's gonna be fine, because then you actually make the conscious choice to do it. But if it's not a conscious choice, that's where you end up messing up. So don't do it against your will. Try to convince yourself, or maybe try to come up with a compromise. A compromise is a good thing as well. Be honest about it. Just tell her, hey honey, you know what? I would like to spend a romantic evening with you, but this movie is not going to cut it for me. This is just going to be a horrible experience. I'm not going to enjoy this movie. So if we want to spend a romantic evening together, why don't we try to find a middle ground? A movie that we can both enjoy. Because guys, whether she knows it consciously or not, I can guarantee you she is going to prefer watching a mediocre movie with a man of integrity, a man that makes the choice to be there with her, an attractive man. She's going to prefer watching that mediocre movie with that man over watching her favorite chick flick with a pussy-whipped loser. So it's really simple. Do not do it against your will. Either convince yourself that you're going to like the movie anyway, try to find a compromise, or just don't do it. Number 3, and this one is a relatively simple example, but it is important nonetheless, which is swallowing your pride. Telling someone that something is alright, even though deep down inside you do not think it's alright. So it's a very simple example. You've agreed to meet someone, and this is valuable time. You're sacrificing your valuable time. You've put in a lot of effort to make sure that you are on time, but your friend isn't on time. Your friend just, and you know your friend just fucked up. You know, your friend just was lazy, and so he was late. And your friend says, oh, I'm sorry. And you say, oh, well, that's no problem, man. It's all right. It doesn't really matter. Even though deep down inside, you think it does matter. You think it's horrible. But you're too afraid to say it. Now, what this does, very simply put, it just turns you into a pushover. And again, with this example, the exact same logic applies. First of all, it's not that great for yourself if you become a pushover, because, well, you become a pushover. You lose confidence, and, you know, you let other people just walk all over you. But again, here's the irony. You're not really pleasing other people either. Other people do not really like to have a pushover as a friend either. They are going to lose respect for you. And yes, there might be exceptions, there might be certain individuals who had like traumas in their youth and now for whatever happened to them mentally, they like to have pushovers in their life so they can boss them around and stuff like that. Yes, these individuals exist. But let's be honest, you probably should not want to have these individuals in your life bossing you around anyway. A real friend doesn't like his friends to be pushovers. And so it's not helping yourself out, and it's not really helping other people out either. The best way to be a good friend to your friends is to sometimes, often, tell them the truth. Have integrity. If you think it is a problem that they were too late, tell them that you think it's a problem that they were too late. Now, this doesn't have to mean that you have to break up your friendship or engage in a physical fight, but you at least have to tell them the truth. So now they can tell you sorry, and your bond as a friend can actually grow stronger because of it. Now, sure, these are just 3 simple examples, right? This is not everything you're going to run into. You are going to run into so many more examples over the course of your life. But I hope that by giving these 3 examples, that this gives you like the tools, the mindset to recognize situations like this. Because once you start to think about it, once you start to learn how things work, it starts to become easier and easier to recognize these situations in your life where you start going like, hey, wait a second, this might be one of those situations where I have to stand up for myself, where I have to take care of myself first. So if you guys liked the video, click the like button, click the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.